Hello, I'm Deborah Pope, Executive Director of the Ezra Jack Keats Foundation, and I am honored to welcome you to the 35th anniversary Ezra Jack Keats Awards ceremony, presented as part of the virtual 2021 Fay B. Kegler Children's Book Festival in partnership with the DeGrummond Children's Literature Collection here at the University of Southern Mississippi. What you might not know is that in addition to this being the 35th anniversary, it is also the 10th award ceremony we have collaborated on with Ellen Ruffin, curator of the DeGrummond. We are honored to be part of the DeGrummond and USM family. The partnership has been an enormous pleasure. We are also very proud of this year's winners and honorees. Each of the beautiful books by these new authors and illustrators exemplify the kind of work we've aimed to support for these many years. Books in which children from many different walks of life can see themselves and see themselves in others. The future of our country and of our world depends on our children being able to respect differences and respect commonality, see commonality. This award began in a small neighborhood library of the New York Public Library System. It was initiated by a children's librarian. Her name was Hannah Nuba. She was a Holocaust survivor, and so she understood very well the destructive power of bigotry and prejudice. And you might expect, as young families came to her library and asked her for books that reflected the kind of children and families they were, she directed them to Ezra's work. Again and again, she directed them to Ezra's work until she finally decided there needed to be more books like Ezra's. And so Hannah contacted Martin and Lily Pope, my parents, Ezra's best friends, and the first trustees of the EJK Foundation. She suggested that they create such an award as the EJK, and they heard that idea once and hit the ground running. And the rest is history. It took 3 decades before we began to see the full extent of what we'd accomplished with the EJK Award. About 5 years ago, we began to see that authors and illustrators we had honored from different years began to partner to create new and wonderful books together. They were put together at random by publishers who enjoyed their work. We had celebrated enough talent for these talented people to bump into each other creatively in the lively world of children's book publishing. In 2018, we decided it was time to mark an anniversary, and we focused on the 35th anniversary with a year-long celebration, and we began laying the foundation for the campaign a year later. Then, as we all know, came the pandemic and the cresting of the Black Lives Matter movement, making even more clear how much our lives are intertwined. Today, the EJK Award ceremony has gone global. Technology and the demands of the pandemic have made it possible to share the ceremony with our friends around the world. Our presence on the international stage demonstrates more and more clearly that the need for culturally inclusive children's books is greater than ever. All of this is to say that we are happy to have started 35 years ago, proud to have fostered the talent we have. And I thank all of the winners and honorees from past years who have joined us today. And we are eager to go for another 35 years. With this year's winners and honorees, and with the help of all of you, the outlook is very good. And now I'm happy and proud to introduce the president of the University of Southern Mississippi, Rodney Bennett.
As president of the University of Southern Mississippi, it is my distinct honor and privilege to join you for the 35th annual Ezra Jack Keats Awards ceremony. In 1985, the DeGrumman Children's Literature Collection at the University of Southern Mississippi became home to the Keats Archive, the exclusive repository of original Keats artwork and papers. For more than 30 years, USM has cherished our rich partnership with the Ezra Jack Keats Foundation, and we are honored to co-sponsor the 35th anniversary celebration. As a pioneer in American children's literature, Ezra Jack Keats incorporated his own personal experiences into his writing, combining imagination and art with diversity. He once said, "If we could see each other exactly as the other is, this would be a different world." How true that really is. It is certainly fitting that the Ezra Jack Keats Award is one of the earliest children's book awards in the country to promote diversity and new talent. Its expansive focus strives to support and influence the creation of literature that encourages a love of reading in all students, no matter their background. And so, to this year's honorees, I extend congratulations and best wishes on behalf of the University of Southern Mississippi, and I thank you for your contributions to instilling a love of reading in the lives of so many children across our country and across the world. Again, congratulations.
Thank you. Several years ago, the Jewish Museum of New York developed an outstanding exhibition of Ezra Jack Keats' work. It was a traveling exhibit. It traveled all over the country and was curated by Claudia Nasson. In her exceptional essay, Bringing the Background to the Foreground, or The Poetry of a Trash Can, Claudia captures the purpose of Ezra Jack Keats' life and work. He transformed the ordinary, giving it color and life. One of my favorite images by Keats is from his book, Dreams. There's a tenement house, something a city person might not notice, might not see. But in Keats' hand, that tenement house doesn't fade into the background. Each window has a blast of color, showing how each family or tenement dweller has added an original look expressive of their lives. He has invited his readers to see. Keats said, "I love city life. All of the beauty that other people see in the country life, I find taking walks and seeing the multitudes of people, all the manifestations of people, one layer over the other, and children playing." He observed the ordinary and made it extraordinary. Or, as in Claudia's essay title says, he gave us poetry in a trash can. That Keats quality is at the heart of the Ezra Jack Keats Award, and it's certainly apparent in the books that have been honored this 35th year. Every single book recognizes the child and invites readers to see. Thank you, and congratulations to you all. We are proud to have you as part of this ever-growing Keats family. Now, I would like to introduce Rita Auerbach, who is the 2021 chair of the Ezra Jack Keats Committee. Rita has guided many committees toward their journeys in the past. She's been on the Pure Belpre, she's been on the Caldecott, she's been on the Newberry. I could go on, but you need to hear from her.
Before I introduce our Ezra Jack Keats Award and honor winners, I would like to introduce the members of the extraordinary Ezra Jack Keats Award Committee. The people who chose these awards included Jennifer Brown, past director of the Center for Children's Literature at Bank Street College for Education and senior editor of Shelf Awareness. Pat Cummings, distinguished illustrator, winner of the Coretta Scott King Award, and teacher of illustration at Pratt and the Parsons School of Design, where she has nurtured some of our finest young illustrators. Carmen Agrediti, award-winning author and one of the country's most admired storytellers. Dr. Claudette McLinn, executive director of the Center for the Study of Multicultural Children's Literature. Vonda Nelson, winner of the Boston Globe Hornbook Award and the Coretta Scott King Author Award. Chris Rashka, two-time Caldecott Medal winning illustrator. Melissa Sweet, two-time Caldecott Honor winner and a winner of the Orbis Pictus Award and the Seibert Medal. Deborah Taylor, retired coordinator of school and student services at Baltimore's Enoch Pratt Free Library and recipient of the Coretta Scott King Virginia Hamilton Lifetime Achievement Award. It was truly an honor to work with this group of people in choosing these awards. And so, the Ezra Jack Keats Writer Award goes to Patricia Elam Walker for Nana Akua Goes to School. It is Grandparents' Day, and Zora's Nana Akua is coming. How will her classmates react to Nana Akua's Adinkra face markings? With great understanding, Nana Akua confronts the children's possible discomfort, and with great wisdom, she entices them and Walker's readers to enjoy the beauty and symbolism of their design. Here is Patricia Elam Walker, the author of this wise and joyful book.
Winning the Ezra Jack Keats Award for Nana Akua Goes to School touches me deeply. When I was a young child in the late 1950s, my mother, a children's librarian, desperately sought books that reflected us and our experiences and was bereft at the dearth. She wanted such books for all children because she understood the world would be a better place if everyone knew of our value and our contributions. That's why I remember how thrilled she was when The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats appeared circa 1962. I was around 8 by then, but still young enough to appreciate the specialness of this book, the warm, velvety brown of Peter and his mom, the familiarity of the snowy hills — I grew up in Boston — and the soft, quiet ordinariness of the story itself. It was the perfect multicultural tale for the time. It didn't shout its arrival. It spoke in a calm, measured, and endearing tone, so readers gently learned the lessons of diversity and acceptance embedded in those pages. My mother was the first person I thought of when I learned I won the award. I hadn't yet opened my email that morning when illustrator April Harrison called and yelled at me, "Girl, you need to respond to your messages. Everyone is trying to congratulate you." I had no clue what she was talking about. The tears flowed, though, when I thought of how proud my mom would be, how proud she is, looking down from her heavenly reading chair.
Heidi Woodward Sheffield is the Ezra Jack Keats Illustrator Award winner for Brick by Brick. As Poppy, a bricklayer, builds brick by brick, Luis, our young narrator, learns book by book. With vibrant colors and strong textured collage, Sheffield has created visually exciting images of family harmony and aspiration. It is my great pleasure to introduce Heidi Woodward Sheffield.
I am so incredibly honored to receive the Ezra Jack Keats Illustrator Award for Brick by Brick. Keats has been a lifelong inspiration to me. To this day, I keep The Snowy Day at my desk in my studio and whenever I need the inspiration, just looking at it fills me with wonder. To me, the most powerful thing about Keats was his belief that all children need and deserve to see themselves represented in books. Especially at this moment in time, I believe the healing power of books to spread hope, encouragement, and empowerment is more important than ever for the children and people of our world. When Nancy Paulson and Cecilia Young at Penguin told me I'd won the Ezra Jack Keats Award, I was completely astonished. I flipped back and forth between crying happy tears and laughing at the same time. Even my dog was dumbfounded by my reaction. I know my parents were looking down from above, smiling and sobbing with me. They always believed in my dream of becoming an author illustrator, one that's taken me a lifetime. It took an entire week for me to calm down.
Raymond Antrobus is the Ezra Jack Keats Writer Award honor winner for Can Bears Ski? Why do people keep asking Little Bear, can bears ski? It's only when Dad Bear takes him to an audiologist that Little Bear discovers what people have been asking him all along. Antrobus's story will be welcomed by young readers in need of hearing aids and will create empathy in those who take their hearing for granted. Here is Raymond Antrobus, whose book introduces a truly underrepresented group to young readers.
I'm so honored to have this happen. Basically, you don't really think about awards when you're writing a book like Can Bears Ski, because it was such a personal book for both me and Polly, the illustrator, about growing up deaf and having to navigate that world. Especially thinking under the lockdown that we've been under now for a while, and how everyone is talking about isolation, and there's a kind of double isolation in this time if you were deaf. So I'm honored that this book is able to kind of speak to and join with a lot of conversations starting with the book Can Bears Ski, around managing deafness and being understood as a deaf person in a very hearing-centric world.
Jarrett and Jerome Pumphrey, the Pumphrey brothers, are recipients of the EJK Writer Honor Award for The Old Truck. How often have we heard stories of the farmer and his wife? How rarely have we ever heard stories about farmers who are women? And how rarely have we seen African-American farmers represented in books for children? As one of our committee members wrote, the Pumphrey brothers deliver a powerful intergenerational story of a Black family and their love and stewardship of their land, their home, and their old truck. Here are the brothers who together created this beautiful book.
We're both so excited to be here to receive the Ezra Jack Keats Writer's Honor for our book, The Old Truck. Getting this honor for this book in particular means so much to us. When we set out to make this book, we knew we wanted to tell a story that was both personal to us, one that featured characters that look like us, but was also universal enough for anyone to connect to.
That's right. And that personal and universal quality in the storytelling is something that we've always admired about Ezra Jack Keats' work. And it's something that we take inspiration from. So that really makes this honor very special to us.
Yeah, it really does mean so much. For us, it starts with story. And we look at the story and we think about what the story is. We think about what part of that story we want to tell in the text, and then what part of the story we want to tell with the pictures. Right. It's really important to us to leave space in the text for some of the story to be told in the pictures, and also for the reader to put some of their own story in there. Growing up, The Snowy Day, it was one of our favorite books. And we were actually so inspired by this book that we wanted to pay tribute in The Old Truck. And so there's this spread, the opening spread. We put a spread in The Old Truck that is inspired by that spread.
Steve Small is the Ezra Jack Keats Illustrator Honor Award winner for I'm Sticking With You. Bear and Squirrel are best friends, but Bear looms over Squirrel in images that will make young readers laugh. When Squirrel tells Bear he needs to be on his own, Small's illustrations show the yawning space between them, the loneliness of Squirrel isolated in the corner of an illustration. This tribute to the importance of friendship ends with Squirrel hilariously nestling on Bear's nose. Here is Steve Small, the creator of these illustrations, which one committee member described as deliciously droll.
Thank you for presenting me with an Ezra Jack Keats Honor Award for illustration for my work on I'm Sticking With You. When I was a kid, Mum used to paint copies of illustrations from my favourite books in gouache, and I put them on my wall, and I used to fall asleep watching them every night. I would get lost in the imagination of the originals in the book, and at the same time, daydream to the ones on the wall that Mum had made. Now I notice that the picture books that entertained me as a kid not only dazzled me as a young artist, but also carried deeper messages that continue to talk to me today. Maybe that's the effect stories have on everyone, and they'll always have something to say to us, no matter how much growing up we've got left to do.
It is my pleasure to present the Ezra Jack Keats Illustrator Honor Award to Victoria Tentler Krylov for Cyclops of Central Park. Cyclops lives in a cave in New York's Central Park, but one of his sheep is missing, Eugene. As Cyclops searches for the missing Eugene, Tenter Krylov's illustrations take young readers on a tour of the city, allowing them to experience New York in all its cultural and ethnic diversity. Here is Victoria Tentler Krylov, whose illustrations take children on an exciting urban adventure.
I'm incredibly excited to receive the Ezra Jack Keats Illustrator Honor. Working on the Cyclops has been an incredible experience for me, and I think the whole Putnam team and the author, they know this because I've said this many times. From the first time that I kind of laid my eyes on the manuscript, I couldn't stop laughing, and I was so delighted because it was such a funny and unique text. This fantasy story about this creature that lives in New York, he coexists in his sort of magical form with just the regular city and kind of the diversity and the multitudes of the crowds, all the urban spaces, all the diverse people. All of that was so exciting to me, and I just had an absolute blast working on this book. It was wonderful.
Thank you so very much to the Ezra Jack Keats Foundation. This award means everything. That my work is being seen, that my mission to illuminate and celebrate difference is appreciated and rewarded, that maybe more people, especially children of all colors, will find out about it or seek it out. Nana Akua and I are truly honored. I like to say that it takes a village to write a children's book. So a zillion thank yous to my dazzling award-winning illustrator, April W. Harrison, my brilliant agent, Regina Brooks, and my ingenious editor, Ann Schwartz. Nana Akua Goes to School absolutely could not have happened without this magnificent team. I'm so grateful to all. Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank the Ezra Jack Keats Foundation committee and judges who chose this year's winners. Congratulations to the other winners and honorees. Thanks to my husband, Ray, and daughter, Lauren, who run every time they see me with a camera. A huge thank you to publisher Nancy Paulson and executive art director Cecilia Young at Nancy Paulson Books Penguin, who took a chance on a beginning author illustrator. Designers Nicole Reingans, Semidar Megid, associate editor Sarah LaFleur, marketing manager Summer Ogata, and my agent Laura Rennert. Special thanks to the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and especially Lynn Oliver, Sarah Baker, and Steve Musser. Everything I've learned about children's books was through SCBWI. Brick by Brick was discovered because of a mentorship I had won through SCBWI in 2017, and for this I am forever grateful. Thank you so much.
This is my first picture book, and I've been lucky to have very talented support. Thank you to the writer Smritty Halls for letting me go to work on her ingeniously simple text, to my creative editor Helen Mackenzie Smith for her unerring ear for a well-told tale, to my art director Jane Buckley for her extraordinary eye for colour and detail, to everyone at Simon & Schuster who took a chance on me and who worked so hard to make my first experience such fun. And thanks, Mum, for making me all those paintings. And finally, a big thank you to the jurors who voted for this award. I'm happy and proud that our work has won your praise. Thank you.
I'm really delighted that the book resonated with the committee, and I'm very thankful for the author, Madeline Rosenberg, without whom, of course, the book would not be possible, but also everybody at Putnam, Stacy Barney, Cecilia Young, and Eileen Savage, as well as April Prince of Studio Goodwin Sturgis. Thank you so much, everyone, for helping make this book reality.
So I just want to thank Polly Dunbar first for amazing job on the illustrations that she did. I want to thank Maria and Audrey and Tanya at Walker's Books. I want to thank Candlewick Press. I want to thank my wife, Tabitha Austin, for being so supportive of me doing this book.
There were a lot of people who helped us make this book. And in particular, we want to thank Hannah Mann, our agent. She found the exact right home for our book at Norton Young Readers, and we'll be forever grateful to her for that.
Yes, and we would like to thank our publisher and editor, Simon Boughton at Norton Young Readers. He understood our vision and really encouraged us to take it where we did.
Yeah. And then, of course, we want to thank the award committee. We really appreciate you seeing whatever you saw in our work that moved you to give us the honor. Really, we appreciate it so much. We are so proud of this book and so grateful to you for honoring it with the Ezra Jack Keats Writer's Honor. So thank you so much.
Wow, that was great. It is now time for me to introduce Ramona Capenegro, who is going to lead the Q&A session. And Ramona may be familiar to many of you. She is an associate professor of children's literature at East Michigan University, and she's the director of educational programming and content for the EJK Award 35th anniversary. Ramona.
Thank you, Ellen. I'm delighted to invite all of our winners and honorees to join me on screen. Everyone else, please keep sharing your questions in chat, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. I see that we have people joining us from Ireland, Botswana, the UK, Toronto, New Jersey, Los Angeles, Baltimore, Seattle, Las Vegas, and many, many places in Mississippi, thanks to the Fabi Kegler. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first question that came in is for Heidi. What sorts of textures were used in your illustrations?
Lots. I'm incredibly inspired by the world around me, and everything from actual bricks, which I incorporated into some of the skin tones, to actually further send home the idea of them being very strong characters. I also used swirls from the pavement. I often have my eyes on the ground when I'm walking around, and there's a real artistry to how those pavements are finished. So next time you're in a city, take a look. I took some of those textures, added them to the sky of the spread, the Adios spread where they leave the city. But anything that's for instance, like a handmade craft, a textile, that kind of thing. Anything that's had a prior life gets into my work. It finds its way.
Mhm. Thank you. So this next question is for everyone. So what seemingly small detail in your book do you hope that readers notice? And why does this detail matter to you? So Jarrett and Jerome, do you want to get us started?
Sure. There is a pretty subtle detail we have in the illustrations and the way they sort of interplay with the text. But specifically, there's in the pages, we have the little girl and her relationship with the truck, and that changes as you read the story. The little girl gets closer and closer to the truck and then moves further and further away. And we tried to sort of just with that space, that use of space, show that relationship, how she's growing fonder and closer to the truck. And then, as she gets older, finds other interests, she sort of moves away from it. That's one thing that we've hoped people would see. Some have seen it, but most people miss that.
Now they're all going to go look again.
And
Trisha, how about you?
That's a good question. I don't know, maybe the idea that this little person wants to protect this big person, that the little girl, Zora, wants to protect her grandmother's feelings, even though her grandmother is obviously much older than her. But she loves her so dearly, and she's really worried about how she'll be treated at school. And I just wanted to convey that idea that children do have these complicated adult kinds of feelings. So maybe Raymond.
There's a few things. One I'm thinking of is in the library. There's a scene with there's no text, and the boy bear is in the library, and it just has the word "shh" underneath it. In the library, on the right-hand side of the page, there's a little picture of a moon in a top hat, and that's a little nod to the children's picture book that my dad used to read me when I was growing up, called Happy Birthday Moon, by Frank Ash, I think his name is. And we just kind of threw in these little kind of literary details that are there. Even the scene with little bear in the snow and walking through the snow, and how that's a kind of reference to Ezra Jack's Snowy Day, and because in his book that's the scene where him and the boy and his friend are playing the snow, but in Ken Bear's Ski there's a misconnection because he's listening to the snow, the sound of the snow, but he misses everything else that's around him. And so there's a kind of joining and departure from Snowy Day as well. So there's little things like that. Have I got to say who to go next? Victoria?
Yeah, so in Cyclops, there is actually a lot of details on every page. I always think that with children's books, it's sometimes important to just fill the page with lots and lots of details so that the reader can pause on every spread and really study it, whether it's, the Cyclops with the sheep kind of sitting around the breakfast table, and the table is just full of kind of funny foods and cereal and croissants and like just different things to eat. So kind of just lots and lots of things to pore over and study. And of course the scenes in the streets, which are filled with tourists, as New York typically is. And there are people from all over the world, from different countries, different ethnicities, everybody's mixing together. So I just wanted to fill the pages with crowds and lots of different people. So my hope is that there's something on almost every spread to kind of study and laugh at potentially. Steve, how about you?
Well, I think that when I read Smriti's text, I noticed how there was a simple through line about these two friends who perhaps had a little bit of renewal due in their friendship. They needed to sort of update where they were with each other, that had perhaps slipped into two different routes. Much as they liked each other, they sort of lost the idea of paying attention to each other and updating it. So I liked how you may notice that in the middle of the book, in the middle of the story, is actually the middle of the book itself, where there's this, if the story is brought to a halt and this flow and momentum just stops dead in the middle of the center and unravels. And then it's about picking up the pieces and then renewing and repairing from that point on. And in a way, the second half of the book for me was about revisiting everything that had fallen apart in some way and bringing it to some form of resolution or repair. So whilst there's a lot of fun happening, and whilst there's all sorts of things going on, they managed to revisit each one of these things that had somehow fallen by the wayside and bring it back together again, so that it closes by the end. So there was this sort of balanced structure, but at the same time, it's about renewal, not just revisiting for the sake of it. So it had a kind of a pleasing structure to it that I enjoy as a nod to the ideas in the script.
Heidi, do you want to wrap this one up?
Sure. I think one of my favorite areas of detail is in the city spread, which is pretty far up in the book. I think it's about the third spread or so. And it features Poppy and Luis, very, very small, and the city is very, very large. And it's made out of bricks, literally. And it just simply says Poppy builds the city brick by brick. The whole notion of a very small child seeing what his dad has done and being so moved by that. And then also taking bricks and kind of assembling them like a child would building blocks. It was so much fun to play with the details. There are particular kinds of bricks that have a certain name. And what I did in Photoshop is I broke those pieces apart so that I could create other letters and spell out different words. So whether it was dream, whether it was sueños, whether it was hola, and it was very important for me too to have the picture of the American flag with Luis going to school, and for that to be a welcoming place, that he has his place in this culture.
Mm-hmm. And we get to see that American flag and going to school on the cover of Nana Akua too.
Yeah. Yep.
And Tricia, the next question is for you, and it's actually from John Scott, who's one of our creators of the mock Ezra Jack Keats Award. And he wants to know if there will be more Nana Akua adventures.
I hope so. Somebody said she should go to Ghana. She should take Zora back to Ghana. And so I would love to do that. Yes, I think that's a wonderful idea. And maybe they'll go some other places as well. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. And Jerome and Jarrett, did you have any Black farmers in your life while you were growing up that inspired the book?
So I'll take this one. So we didn't have any Black farmers, but our great grandmother owned a farm, and we still actually own that property in the family. And so that was something that we drew inspiration from. Just that theme, that generational story of passing down property.
Yeah, she worked picking cotton to save up money so she could buy this farm. And her one request was just don't ever sell it. Don't ever, it stays in the family. So yeah, lots of inspiration there.
Uh-huh. Definitely, yes. Victoria, two-part question here. So what was your inspiration for capturing life in New York City? And how did you figure out a way to make Cyclops into a friendly, attractive character for children?
Let me start with the Cyclops character question. So it was actually quite a process, and we worked together as a team with the Putnam team and even with my agent to actually land on the right character, because he certainly had to be friendly, and he had to be funny, and he had to be engaging, but he couldn't be kind of fluffy and cute in a way that would not make sense with the rest of the sort of life and settings of the book, because the book in a way is realistic. It shows life in the city, it shows the crowds and the people in the city. So we had to come up with a character that would truly be Cyclops, but that would look like he could coexist and sort of mix with regular people on the sidewalk and, you know, on the roller coaster and in the subway. So it was a process, but ultimately we ended up making him almost human. Well, I should say very human, and you know, almost a little bit hipster. So he kind of looks young and maybe a little bit sort of, you know, kind of like trendy almost, I should say, with his, you know, with his hair bun. But he's definitely still unmistakably a Cyclops. So I think we kind of landed in the right place with him. And as far as the scenes in New York City, so I'm actually an architect by training. And so to me, what New York really represents is an amazing kind of combination of different perspectives that I really kind of gravitate to that as an architect as well. And I think for me, it was really interesting to look at points of view and giving the viewer and the reader sort of points of view, looking from below above and looking from above to below, and sort of playing with different settings, whether it's on the boat or kind of, you know, near Statue of Liberty or on top of the Empire State Building or a subway, and just kind of, you know, playing with the perspective and the horizon line, and like I said, looking up, looking down. And of course, I mean, the reason why I fell in love with the book in the first place was the opportunity, again, to draw the tremendous diversity that New York attracts. So the incredible sort of mix of people. And so for me, you know, the crowds are definitely a character in the book, but New York itself is very much also a character in the book.
Yeah. No, it made me really, really miss being able to go out into cities again. I'm ready to start traveling.
Sure. Yes, 100%.
So here's one for everyone, and let's get started with Steve. What were some of your favorite children's books growing up?
Oh gosh, that was quite a few. I used to have a few compendiums, and if anyone else used to get those, rather than buy the separate books, you get compendiums of all the short stories, whether it be fairy tales or rhymes or what have you. But I have to say, one of the ones that really lingered for me was a work by Tony Ungerer, The Moon Man. Every time, and it seems to me even now, every time I look at that, I thought I knew that book well, and then you sort of happen across a corner of it or a little detail. It just, I find it staggering each and every time, possibly because it's about the moon, and of course the moon just remains this hypnotizing element in our lives. But something about that story, the way it laughs at the world around it, but also sort of embraces it as well. And I always find that mesmerizing read every time.
Anyone else have a favorite?
Sure. The Snowy Day truly was a favorite for us. As we shared, that's in part why we put that spread in the old truck to pay tribute. That was a great book, though.
So yeah, we also liked, I think one that stands out is Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. And then on the funnier side, Miss Nelson is Missing has always been a favorite.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that's a favorite of many, many teachers. Yes.
Yeah.
Over to you, Raymond.
I so feeling where the wild things are being referenced. Definitely still feel deep connection with that. Definitely Dr. Seuss, particularly Older Places You Go and Green Eggs and Ham. There was a book, like an illustration of Billy Goat's Gruff, I have a very vivid memory of because it terrified me so much. And the way the troll was illustrated in I mean, I had nightmares for years as an adult. That troll still appears. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to talk about The Giving Tree because it's a book talking about like books that mean different things to you at different times in your life. Because as a kid, I remember being so deeply impacted by that book. But as I got older, my relationship with it changed to, oh my God, this is about a toxic relationship. This is terrible. You can't give yourself to someone to this extent. This is not healthy. Like all of this kind of modeling for what kind of emotional management and relationships and the way I think about them. Like much of my practice is in emotional literacy in the classroom and all this kind of thing, how to model that. So despite the kind of controversial kind of elements of The Giving Tree, it still had a very deep impact. But I've got to say, Happy Birthday Moon and The Snowy Day as well, because those two books, which are very specifically referenced in Kanbensky.
Raymond, a couple people have asked if any or which elements of your book are autobiographical.
Which elements of my book are autobiographical? The whole book is autobiographical. I grew up deaf in London. I was part of two schools. First, I was going through a hearing school, and then I went to a deaf school, and then I went back to a hearing school. So I've navigated those two spaces: the deaf world, the hearing world, hearing education, deaf education, and my deafness was diagnosed late. So it meant that there was kind of confusion all around for how to manage deafness and what that is. I mean, I'm primarily a poet, and most of the work I've published is poetry, which is also mostly autobiographical, which is mainly about like family connections and education. And this book kind of came out of trying to write a poem which didn't quite work. But then when I found this other form of being asked to write a children's book, like to attempt, try and do this, here's an opportunity. I wrote out the story thinking, I don't know if anyone's going to connect with this or relate to this or understand what my intentions are with this. But yeah, people have really kind of picked up on it. And I'm really glad that the book has gone into deaf schools and hearing schools and has become an intergenerational thing because of how many messages I get from grandparents who say, now I can speak to my children about what it is to be a deaf person, as well as just like it's not, it's got that kind of intergenerational feel, which I'm very proud and surprised as well that it had that impact. So yeah, it is very much autobiographical.
Mm-hmm. So another question about possible personal connections. Tricia, someone wants to know if Nana Akua has any characteristics of your own grandmother that you were drawing upon.
Oh, that's a lovely question. One of my grandmothers passed away when I was 3, so I don't have many memories of her, but I do have clothes that she made for me. And they were made by hand, so the details and the stitching are so loving. So I could feel that love through that fabric. And my other grandmother had a lot of grandchildren, but she always made time for us individually. So I remember really waiting anxiously and anticipating my one day with her to go to Filene's basement and I could pick out something to buy. And it was just a wonderful time, just getting to know her, watching her stories with her, and just feeling the closeness and the love. And so all that went into the character of Nana Akua. So I thank you for that question.
Mm-hmm. No, that one was a great one. So Heidi, what are some of the daily inspirations that keep you going and making art?
Oh boy, it's a collage for me. whether it's on the writing end, it could be a scrap of conversation that I hear in a coffee shop that I just kind of write down, to your everyday textures. You know, it's such a pain bringing me anywhere, because wherever I am taking photographs of all textures, as I said before, sidewalks, and I love handmade things, like vintage clothing, lace. All those things really speak to me, and they often just kind of whisper the beginnings of a story. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. No, it really does. So a good question to probably end on is, what's next? So what are you all working on right now? What's the next thing you're looking to do? Victoria?
So definitely more books. I'm very excited about every new project that kind of comes to me. I'm very excited about some new things that I'm starting. Not sure which ones I can actually talk about and which ones I can't, but I mean, just, you know, starting every new project is a joy. It's always a new adventure. I definitely want to start writing more books. My first sort of author illustrator project came out this past December. It's about Zaha Hadid, who is a female architect from Iraq who worked in London and all over the world. So I loved working on that book, and she to me represents just an incredible figure who kind of defeated the odds and built an incredible career. So telling the story about her life and her work to young kids was amazing to me. So I certainly hope in the future to tell more stories like that. Yeah, great question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Steve?
I've just finished a solo book called The Duck Who Didn't Like Water. And actually that comes out in the UK tomorrow, as it happens. That was fun to do. And I have another book with Bear and Squirrel coming out with Smriti, where they expand their operation into another friend. I won't give much more away other than that. And I'm fiddling around with some other ideas as well.
Tricia?
I'm very excited to say that I have a book coming out in September that I did with my cousin, award-winning illustrator Aqua Holmes. It's about how we grew up and kind of a replica of our neighborhood called Dream Street. So I'm very excited about that, and hopefully some other books as well.
How about Jarrett and Jerome?
The follow-up to the old truck called The Old Boat, that just came out last month. And then we've got some other projects in the works. The next picture book from us comes out next spring. So very exciting times. Lots more to come. Yeah.
Excellent. Heidi?
I have a book with Nancy Paulson Books Penguin called Ice Cream Face that I'm just wrapping up right now. And let's see, it's just a wonderful book about the anxiety and the elation of waiting for and getting ice cream. And then that comes out in 2022. And I also have a book called Little Man that I'm working on with Jill Davis at Harper, featuring Daniel Bernstrom's manuscript. It's really a beautiful book. We're working on that now, and it'll come out in 2022 as well.
And Raymond?
I have a poetry collection coming out in September called All the Names Given, and I've just finished writing my next children's book, which is called Terrible Horses, illustrated by Ken Wilson Max, and it's kind of about I guess resolution, conflict resolution, and it's kind of told this the siblings story, which I'd shared with a lot of students, a story I'd shared anecdotally with a lot of students for quite a number of years and I'd never written down. But when I moved to Oklahoma City and I saw the memorial tree, which is right on the site of the Oklahoma bombing, I sat down, and for some reason, all of these stories about kind of different things in my life kind of came up about how I've had to manage that kind of idea of anger. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good. I'm proud of it.
So we all have a lot more reading to do in the next couple of years. That's very, very clear here. So this was wonderful. I'm sorry that we weren't able to get to everybody's questions, but we want to make sure you have time to watch the end of the ceremony. So enormous thanks to Tricia, Heidi, Raymond, Jerome, Jarrett, Victoria, and Steve. The authors, illustrators, and I are going to leave you now so that you can hear a special message from Rita Auerbach. But thank you so much for spending this time with us. Take care.
So this is the end of my 2-year term as chair of the Ezra Jack Keats Award Committee. And I have to say how proud I've been to chair this committee. I think that over the years, the Ezra Jack Keats Awards have promoted the careers of some of the finest writers and illustrators in the country. The books that we've chosen over the years have related to the Ezra Jack Keats legacy in a variety of ways. But one of the considerations has always been that they reflect the multicultural nature of our society. And I think if you look at the list of books that we've chosen to give the award to and to honor over the years, you will see one of the finest lists I know of multicultural children in books for young people. And finally, it's clearly an honor to serve with the amazing people, the librarians, writers, and illustrators who comprise the Ezra Jack Keats Award Committee. So it's bittersweet to end this term. But the sweet part is that I can now turn the chairmanship of the committee over to the amazing Deborah Taylor. As I said earlier, Deborah Taylor is the recipient of the Coretta Scott King Virginia Hamilton Lifetime Achievement Award. She is also on the board of advisors of the Institute of Library and Museum Services. She is past president of ALA's Young Adult Library Services Association, and she is past chair of the Coretta Scott King Award Committee. So it is with great joy and pride that I introduce Deborah Taylor, the new chair of the Ezra Jack Keats Award Committee. Deborah.
Oh, thank you so much, Rita. I can't tell you how much it means to me to be given this particular opportunity and to have it handed off by you, someone I've admired, someone I've had the wonderful opportunity to work with, someone who has a shared vision in what it means to have books that reflect all children in our libraries, in our schools, and in our homes. And I couldn't feel more honored to be a part of the incredible work that this committee does in promoting those careers and also in bringing those books to our communities and to our young people. I'm looking forward to following in your wonderful wake, so to speak. And I'm most excited by the fact that you will continue on as a member of the committee, because I feel that I am certainly not operating without a net. I have someone by my side and on the committee who knows exactly what we are about in doing this work. So I am so grateful, so honored to take over, and I recognize how important this work will be for not just for what we're doing right now, but for the future. Thank you so much, Rita, for your service, and thank you for continuing to help to be a beacon for the work that we do.
Thank you.
Please welcome back to the stage, Deborah Pope.
And I am honored to work with you, Rita and Deborah, as well as with everyone on the outstanding Ezra Jack Keats Award Committee. This was an amazing award ceremony and everything we hoped that the 35th award ceremony would be. Thank you to our wonderful winners and our honorees, and thank you all for your wise and inspiring words. So many people are responsible for making this event possible. Thank you, President Bennett, for making a home for us at USM at the University of Southern Mississippi, and to Ellen. Ellen, I cherish our partnership. And Rita, thank you for your wise stewardship and insightful words. And Ramona, there's no one better. What a wonderful Q&A, and thank you for the years of invaluable scholarly advice and guidance. And of course, special thanks always to the Ezra Jack Keats team for making this happen and everything associated with our work. Diana Voza, Robin Stein, Jocelyn McCarthy, and Riot Intraub. That's it for the awards, but the celebration continues. Be sure to join us for this evening's silent auction. This happens at 6:30 Central Time and 7:30 Eastern Time. And we've got a huge number of original artwork pieces on the block, so don't miss it. And I want to remind everyone that they can get to know the EJK Award Class of 2021 better by checking out our 35th award winners panel discussion on April 18th, and it's hosted by the Books of Wonder. Be sure to reserve your spot at the Books of Wonder website. Don't forget to check the EJK Foundation website and our social media regularly for news and updates on the premiere of our original documentary on the evolution of diversity in children's literature. Lastly, we wanted to allow a cohort of former EJK Award winners and honorees to add their voices to the celebration. Enjoy.
All of us are proud, are so proud that our books, that our books continue Ezra's legacy, in which all children,
see themselves
in the books they read.
and we are honored
to celebrate
35
meaningful years,
making a positive
making a positive impact on children's literature.
Ezra must be so pleased.
Huzzah, onward, and thank you, EJK.
Let's keep it up.
Congratulations, yo.
Yay!
Congratulations, everybody.
Happy reading.
Pa'lante.
Congratulations, EJK.
Yes.
Onward.
Well done.
Hooray.
Yahoo! Gratula.
本当におめでとうございます。Hooray, Ezra Jack Keats. Hooray.
Carry on.